Okay, I'd like to welcome you to the Hurley Investments Financial Services Commentary. Could not find a logger name for it, but it is Tuesday, May 2nd of 2017. Just got back from a quick little run out to the Denver area. Had a good time. Was out there with actually about 16 different people, everything from athlete agents to some pretty well-to-do people. And the comments I heard over and over and over again always came down to, well, I want a monthly return. And it was funny because one of my comments to the guy was, well, go get a job. No, you don't understand. I want to do it in the stock market. And I had to be upfront and say, I haven't seen that. And he goes, well, what about, your safe option strategy stuff? And I said, yeah, but in all honesty, Jeffrey has had his bad months where the trend changes and you go through 2 or 3 trades that lose some money and 2 or 3 trades that you have to adjust, and then you follow the trend again. And when it's really choppy, it's really hard. And I kind of looked at him and I said, well, in all honesty, you can put stuff in a U.S. Treasury. Well, I can't live off of that. And Mott, I love your answer there. But the second thing I said was, well, if you want a monthly return, go get a job. Investing is tough. Sometimes returns you want that have been proven by earnings and that someone else is giving you a hassle about that tells you need them, they just don't happen. And as I sat with this group, it really was the understanding that investing is gathering shares through option protection without having to add more money to the account. It's a Warren Buffett idea, right? What I do is I'm trying to add as many shares for people as I can. They're going to pay more dividends and be ready for more covered calls when they hit a certain age. But the reality is, for the growth portfolios, I'm trying to do all I can to add as many shares as possible. Sometimes I look really smart with a Baidu trade. Twice for 1,000 shares or more, I've been able to add 20% more shares of stock without having to ask for more money. If they had 500 shares and been with me for about a year and a half, I've been able to add about 100 shares, if not just about 100 shares. And Baidu will hopefully, not saying that I know it's going to do or what it's not going to do, hopefully Baidu, with beating on the top and bottom line, my expectation or my hope is that we're going to see Baidu go back down and test the 150s again. And at 156 to 153, my job is to add more shares to Baidu. Today it broke 180. And the neat thing is, I think your next true support is 170, 163, and then it's back down to that 150-ish range, which means I could be in really good shape. Is my voice coming across jumbled at all? How's my audio really quickly? My audio okay? Good. Thank you, Maud. So, I subscribe to the Warren Buffett idea of having good stocks and protection through the long put, and sometimes adding longer term covered calls. It's frustrating. I'll be honest with you. I was in some group with some lawyers that have these licenses that I have, and their whole job is to gather the assets, and they don't care where it goes. Their job ends when they put you into something. And I had someone ask me about Visa. So I took a screenshot and I pulled out Visa. And I loved it because obviously it went so far over his head. He just sat there amazed. Visa have the shares at a cost basis of $51.27. Currently trading at $92.44. Kevin. Very true, Abraham. Kevin, you've almost doubled their portfolio. Well, no, I've had some people be able to sleep at night. I have added some protection. And this particular situation, I added 87.50 out of the money long puts because I have a big credit sitting out there. I've got a big credit at 92.50, so these people are actually selling their stock at 97.14, possibly. And oh, that cost me $1.64. And you would have thought I had just killed the guy's mother. You spent $1.64 for protection? Well, let's do the math again. If you have the right to sell the stock at 87.50 and the average cost basis is 51.27, are my people going to be really disappointed if it falls down to 50? Nope. So before I go into this and the conversation I had with them, I'm going to ask you guys the same question. If your single $1 gains 50% and loses 50%, how much is your $1 worth? If your $1 gains 50%, loses 50%, has a 0% average return, how much is your dollar worth? The answer I got, well, it's no return. It's worth $1. I'm asking you guys, there are 14 of you here, and I see a couple of you, $1. How much is your dollar worth? For the 4 of you that just said $1, 5 of you now that just said $1, on a 0% return, a break even, your dollar is not worth $1. Do the math. Dollar gains 50%, it goes from $1 to $1.50. Your dollar loses 50%, and it's now worth 75 cents. It's kind of funny because the typical answer I get is $1. So the 6 of you that typed in $1 just now, don't feel bad. Number one answer, if you were on, I don't forget what that show is, but the number one answer is $1. And about 1% will say, well, it's only worth 75 cents because they'll go through and they'll calculate it. This is where advisors in the big boxes, in my opinion, are falsifying their returns. Anytime you see someone that's giving you an average return, you know to a certain degree they are trying to or are not being honest with you. Portfolio growth is what's there. And again, if you use the safe option strategies way of protecting, getting money on the way down, going out in time, the reality is you should be able to double a portfolio every 4.5, 5 years versus 7 years. And sometimes it's a lot faster. Sometimes you'll have a 2008 and you'll double your portfolio in 2009 because you picked up a lot of shares on the way down. Just to go over this particular position, because of the short call, it's as if I'm selling it out at $97.14. Right now, I was able to add some short puts only about a week ago. Took in $1.31. We're going to protect this position for a whopping 33 cents. And I'm really thinking about moving this up possibly to a 91. If I could pick up an extra 33 cents, even 23 cents, I might be able to protect this position for a dime. Well, the comment I got, what kind of protection did you feel you needed? Well, Visa pre-market after its earnings was up at 93.60. Only finished up like 20 cents on that day because of a pretty big down day. Visa went through the French vote overseas, went through a couple problems with Obamacare not getting repealed, with the taxes not being repealed, with repatriation. There's a lot of things that we've gone through in the last month where it could have been really, really good. It could have been really, really bad. And, you know, to a certain degree, it's just kind of there right now. Pretty interesting how the memory of some people are pretty short term. So instead of trying to explain this to everyone, I keep it simple. I tell them the story of $1. And then I reverse it on them. Hey, what if for a dime you protect your stock at 150? It costs you a dime. So on a 0% return, maybe your stuff is still worth $1.40. And the neat thing is, that's almost twice as good as all the people that are told just sit and wait. That's what people understood. And it's a pretty exciting position to be in. Guys, tell me really quickly, what do you see this week? What's happening and why? What's happening this week and why? Testing you guys here. And hopefully that made a little bit of sense. Just trying to relate my experiences that I've had over the weekend. Apple earnings, which would be top and bottom line, but, right, guidance missed. And iPhone sales and iPhone numbers were down. . Frustrating. Frustrating that they had to sell 72 million iPhones. 70 and a half wasn't enough. They're back up to $256.8 billion of free cash flow. Boy, the reality is I'm not sure what else Apple could have done. The good news is extended hours is only down 271 now, not over $3, $3.50 like it had earlier. So pretty interesting. It now pays the biggest dividend of the world, and it's going to double its services business by 2020. I don't know. You know, you sit there and you wonder about it. But with that said, it has been up, what, 17%, 58% over the last year. Making more money on selling less phones. I'm not sure that's that bad of an idea. I like it. I like it. That would be good for me. FOMC rate meeting started today, and 2:15, I think, right? Eastern Standard Time announcement, or is it 12:15? When is their announcement? It's during the day, I know that much. 2 p.m. Eastern, right? It usually comes out 2:15 is when I see it, or 12:15 is when I see it. But announcement, what do you think? They're going to raise rates? No, I agree. No rate hike. Too wimpy. No rate hike. Kind of a non-issue. So not a big deal. What else is happening? There's a couple that I try to pay attention to. Personal income was up 0.2 versus 0.3. Personal spending was flat. Pretty understandable. I mean, for all intents and purposes, people paid taxes last month. So, yeah. ISM index 54.8 instead of a 56.5. It also fell down. Auto and truck sales were lower than expected today. I pay attention to that with Ford. Really today was a wait, and it was a flat day. And it was a flat day because, plain and simple, people were waiting on Apple, and people were waiting on the Fed rate hike. You should probably see the markets move tomorrow. The last hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, when they hear, no rate hike, and give some dovish comments into the future. If they give some hawkish comments on we're definitely raising 2 more times this year, you can see the markets move the other way. But we're in a wait and see mode. Wait and see, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, with the Apple right now, it looks like it's an Apple miss. With the Apple miss and how big they are as part of the S&P and so forth, futures are probably going to be down tomorrow, and you'll see a pretty good hit in both the S&P and the NASDAQ. With that said, where do you think our markets are going to end this week? Give me some ideas. There's one. Higher. Question marks. Okay. Higher. Higher. We got how about down? I'm going to go higher too. And I know it's kind of conflicting data here, but whatever the hit from Apple is today, MasterCard I thought did okay, and Facebook is tomorrow. I'm going to keep following the trend higher. I'm going to follow the trend higher and expect to see us go higher. Once again, we could be looking at a double top, which is funny because what's supposed to happen on a double top? What's supposed to happen when you see a double top? It's a sell-off, right? You're correct. It's a sell-off. Sell-off. Until you get a triple top. And then it's a real big sell-off. And then next thing you know, it breaks through that triple top and it's off to higher highs. I'm doing nothing but following the trend. We have support underneath us at 20,772. It also looks like we have some support at 20,500. But I'm expecting to get some news on healthcare, some news on something moving on the Obamacare that will be, my belief, the catalyst to push us higher. Bullish on the S&P. Don't have our crossovers yet. And bullish to overbought on the NASDAQ. We just keep trucking higher. And look, my little comment, double top, big down day, and we held the 50-day, triple top. Oh my gosh, triple top, big down day, broke the 50-day, quadruple top, and look at us spike higher on the FANG stocks. And the neat thing is, only 2 of them reported at that time. We didn't even have all of them, but you know, off they go. All right, let me get that erased. All right, here we go. I'm kind of excited to see this one today. Where will the S&P end in May? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw you guys a poll question. I want you guys to tell me, where are we going to end in May? You should see a screen pop up. It might be popping up behind your internet browser. Right now we are at 2391, and I have 2425 or higher, 2400, 2390, 2350, or 2325. All right, let's get all you to vote. Go ahead and find it, and let's get you all to vote. Wow, that's kind of amazing. Okay. I'm going to share for 9 people. We have 3, 3, and 3. Wow. 3 of you voted for 24.25. 3 of you voted for 23.90, and 3 of you voted for 23.50. So we are split as evenly as it comes. A third of us higher than we're at today by roughly 1.5%. We have 3 of us that are saying right where we're at right now, basically, and 3 of us that are saying lower by almost 2%. If you had to ask me, I would vote for that 24.25 or higher. I am not a believer in the sell and may go away. I think you can find stocks that are profitable and that you can work with. So I don't know. It's for me, it's definitely how would I say it? I think a new piece of legislation will come up, and when that comes up, we're off to higher highs. That'll be the catalyst. That's I've never seen it that even. That was amazing. And congratulations on all 9 of you. Good job voting. Usually I've got a couple that don't vote that just sit there. Earnings this week. Obviously Apple today. Tomorrow you're looking at Facebook. I tried to write a lot in there. Clorox on Thursday. First Solar was today, by the way, if anyone's trading First Solar. Not much is happening on Friday by way of earnings. Economic reports, Friday is what's going to move us, but I am paying attention to consumer credit. I want to see if people are still using their credit cards. I want to see how I want a little precursor to how people paid their taxes. And I want to hopefully expect people to since I'm in Visa, I want to see people using their credit card more. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just not saying a good job of it. I do pay pretty good attention to this to the consumer credit. I love seeing it like it did last time be a couple billion higher than expected. When I see that, that tells me that I guess it just tells me, to be honest with you, that I still have faith in being in the credit cards, and I still think Visa has the best growth opportunity. Haven't gone through MasterCard's earnings today, but still has the best growth opportunity for me to make money on a position that's going to be going higher. So the short answer is I'm sitting here waiting. I'm in the wait and see category. It is what it is. Internationally, as I told you last week, I'm not paying any attention to very much internationally. It's all the France vote on Sunday, and it looks to be it really looks to be that that we're going to be okay. That nothing is really coming up, and we're just sitting and waiting. Singing, waiting for nothing. I do have a couple interesting 3 articles here. Here's why earnings are so outstanding even though the U.S. is barely growing. I found this very interesting as I went through some of the numbers. Someone took the time to really figure it out. It's international. It's just a blog site, but I thought this was really important. How to make better decisions with less data. What a decision right there, huh? Really good. It's more of a team building, but I think people can use these same steps in trading. And then I went back to Stockman, pretty blunt on tax plan and everything that Trump does want to get done. And I only put this in here because to hear recently that there's still not the votes to pass their tax plan, maybe Stockman is onto something that the rest of us don't need. How am I looking to trade? Finishing up earnings with protective puts or callers. I am bull putting the protection when possible. With that said, I'll be honest with you. I'm disappointed. I've seen some stocks really do well that didn't move, and it's 100% because the stock market does know what's going on. Not sure what's going on. Not sure why. We're in limbo. Questions? What questions do you guys have that I can answer for today? What questions do you have that you can answer for today? Okay. David, really quickly, what are you going to do with Apple? I have June 145 protective puts. So in all honesty, I probably will not look at Apple until Friday. I'm going to see a couple days to see what it does before I might be barefoot calendaring Apple. You need to give it a couple days to have the quick money shaken out after earnings, and to give it 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days, to prove its new trend, if it's going to be on one. I'm shocked at how many people still put crap on the first hour right after an earnings event. And then they're shocked by midday when it reverses on them. And then they take it off, and then they see they need it and put it back on and take it off, and then end up day trading 3 or 4 times throughout the day to lose much more money than the stock would have lost on its own. Patience sucks. Patience is very difficult in trading. Patience is a virtue that not many people really need. I don't like patience. But boy, can it save you a ton of money by just giving it an extra day. That is why I collar trade. Spread trading frustrates me. And I know you're going to just say, well, I just saw some spread trades. I can spread trade within a collar trade, no problem. Spread trading, just putting stuff on, boy, frustrates the living you know what out of me. All right. So the short answer is, on Apple, I'm going to look at it on Friday. Well, I look at it every day, but Friday is my target date right now on where it's either going to prove its trend or not to me, and I'll make a decision from there. Because I believe we will get some good news in May, and I'm thinking we'll be up 1.5% in May, maybe 2%, maybe 1%, somewhere in that range still. On a typical sell in May, go away. I'm counting on a couple catalysts coming from getting some legislature passed. So I'm going to sit on my hands for a couple days on Apple to see what it does. Mod, why do we still keep going up if it's in limbo? Well, if you go through why earnings are so outstanding, it's because we've had quite a bit of growth and the world hasn't. So the world's playing catch up, and we're still going up because our overseas sales that hurt us a year ago are now catching up and helping the overseas company now. I don't know if you remember last year, it was, boy, don't own an international company, you're getting your butts handed to you. They just can't sell anything, there's no growth overseas. Well, that's now changed. They are doing the catch-up that we had last year, and international-based companies or companies that would do international sales, work internationally, are increasing the profits for those international companies that was being dragged down last year. So why do we keep going up if we're in limbo? Because we actually have an earnings surprise where over 80% are beating on top and bottom line. The guidance isn't quite above like it used to be or should be, but we're beating top and bottom line right now, which is revenue, mostly because of overseas sales. If we're in limbo, we're still going up on the hopium. Let's hope for a tax reform. Let's hope for corporate tax reform. Let's hope for repatriation. Let's hope for appeal on Obamacare. There's a lot of hope that still is built in and can be added to push our market higher, to be a catalyst. I guess not added, but it will be a catalyst to push our markets higher. Good comment. Baidu. David again. Baidu. I've got 185 long puts on Baidu. I've waited a couple days. It just broke 180. So if I can go to a chart on Baidu, I'm going to bring up two charts. All right. I'm always just looking at stock charts. Baidu is still technically bullish. Haven't had its crossovers. There is a chance it'll hold at 175 or 173. Really, I looked at the other day. There was a time right here where I wanted to pull the trigger, and I couldn't pull the trigger. And then yesterday, I was waiting for that 175.50 again-ish, 176, and it never got down there that far. So on Baidu, I have 185 June long puts. And David, I'm really seeing if it's going to breach either one of these two numbers. If it does, you've got your 165-ish, and then it's down to that 156. So I'm sitting on it. Just like I told you with Apple, I'm sitting on it. I'm not making any decision based on 1 or 2 days. I was really close to pulling the trigger and cashing in some profit, but I'm sitting on it right now. I usually like to bring up FinViz because it's showing lower highs and higher lows. What a massive and big drop on Baidu. So if you look at that chart pattern, it's kind of making a pennant, right? It's coming to a point where it's going to break out one way or the other. Still has a ways to go. And boy, I guess it looks like that 165 probably won't ever get down to that 150, which was August last year. Mine will get down to that 165 for its trend line. So I'm still sitting on it. I got till June. I've got quite a bit of time to make a decision. I just have to make sure I capture those profits on the long put and that they're there as profits. Good questions. Any other questions? David, my goodness. Ford. All right. Ford right now. Ford broke 11. So my decision is, do I add a second set of long puts on or do we just hold on? And I have not made a decision, but I'll tell you right now, Ford is in that oversold category, I thought. Coming close to being oversold. So I'm just sitting on it. But 1080 was the low back in November of last year. Their numbers were horrible month over month, down 7%, and unfortunately they're not selling cars in Europe anymore. They've shut down their operations there. So, Abraham, what about Tesla and General Motors? I do not trade General Motors. I think General Motors is government motors. General Motors is in trouble, though. They're heading down. The neat thing? They're down from 38 to 33. So we're talking $7, right? Ford is down from 12 to 12 and a half down to 11. They're down a buck and a half. You don't lose much with Ford, but I have a hard time with General Motors fundamentals because I don't see those fundamentals being accurate with the money that was pulled in from the government. I do not trade General Motors. Tesla is too rich for me. Tesla literally has no fundamentals that I can validate. It's a pure hope stock, and I can't justify paying $318 for something that has god awful fundamentals. And that's the best way I can say it without swearing. How does a company that sells 50,000 cars a year have a market cap bigger than Ford or General Motors? Debt to equity. Right now, they're paying $1.50 on every dollar that they make. It's upside down. They're losing 50% on every dollar that they make. Earnings per share, negative $4.87. It's going to catch up to them. It's the same thing I keep saying with the U.S. It's going to catch up to you. At some point, I guess we all have that brother, that neighbor, that goes massively into credit card debt. And for a while, they live the good life. They've got new TVs. They've got new mountain bikes. They buy a new car. They live on the debt, but there will come a time that it pays the piper. You can't have return on equity, return on assets, and return on investment capital all negative and think you're growing. You can't have a gross margin, a true gross margin of 22.8% when your operating margin, your profit margin are negative. Doesn't add up. Institutionally owned at 64.30. I sit there and I go, boy, there's some stupid people that are out there. I look at the share float, 121 million. Boy, there are a lot of shorts that are out there. I wouldn't touch it. Well, Kevin, you missed, a huge run up. Yeah, it's one I missed a huge run up on, but I could not justify this to a client and in good conscience say, hey, good fundamentally sound company. I put you in it because it has great long-term growth. Man, this is ridiculous. Ford P of 178.55. Ford P 178.55. General Motors. Ford PE of 5.54. 5.47, excuse me. Ford. $6.57. I wanted to do Mercedes. It's Benz, right? I don't know. The higher ones that I saw was in the low single digits, 11. To see Tesla at 178, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Doesn't make any sense. Couldn't do it. So Abraham, there's just my two thoughts there. All right. Any other questions? All right. Hey, Guys, you have a great evening. Abraham, I will get back to you. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. David, great questions. Nice having you here. In fact, for those that, well, David, you've been here before, but good questions. I appreciate the questions coming into me. You guys take care. I will talk to you soon. See you next week, and have a good week. Bye-bye.